Beauty should make you cry, and it should make you paralyzed with fear all at the same time. The better or the more clear that we can grasp and live a beautiful life, the closer we are to God.
So now you look to them to find the things you've always had inside.
I got my first tattoo when I was 18 years old. I was determined to just have this one tattoo. And like I just said, I was not a believer before we came to the Orthodox Church, so I was basically a pagan living wild for 30 years. But the tattoos that I have accumulated over the years, the majority of them have some type of religious significance. In fact, they all do, because they're all kind of intertwined with my culture and my family and my personal beliefs. And then now that as an Orthodox Christian, I look back, and it's really kind of interesting the way it turned out, because while they all kind of have this like religious overtones, I wouldn't have known that, being that, 24 years ago I got my first tattoo. So
my relationship with tattoos is multifaceted. It's probably my main medium of expression. I guess the best way to put it is a way of understanding life, and it's a lifestyle, and there's definitely identity issues wrapped up in it, when you're dealing with society. It's a lifestyle choice I made a long time ago. In saying that, tattooing is part of who I am.
Why I got tattooed is that I wanted to chronicle my life. Like, all of it is kind of like this melting pot of all my life circumstances that culminate to Christianity, So when I came to Orthodoxy, it was talking about tattoos, it was a culmination of everything I wanted in life, and that was truth. Once I came to the truth of Christ, it like, talk about correlation, everything that I etched on my body was like fulfilled in the person of Christ. And the only thing Christ did during his lifetime was establish a church. And that church is here today still. So I had to say, yes, that is truth. No more searching.
I became a Christian towards the end of my apprenticeship of being a tattoo artist. So being a tattoo artist and being a Christian for me is almost, I don't say they're synonymous, but they're parallel in my life. They happened at the same time. So when it came to Orthodoxy, I view Orthodoxy as the completion or the fulfillment of my desire to become a Christian. Before becoming Orthodox, I was doing tattoos of Jesus and crosses and other things on people. And so the obvious step from that was a more potent, authentic image to portray in the tattoo, which would be the icon. I never sat down and said, oh, icon tattoos would be great. It was never like that. It was just organic. It wasn't years later until I actually went to school and began my theological training of iconography. And I'm still learning. I think I'll be learning probably till I'm dead.
I love it in general. I just love the art, and it's both pieces, both tattoos I have, the love is, and the scene from the book of Isaiah mean a lot to me, but also people will ask about them. It's a great conversation piece and a great place to start sharing my faith.
Some people get it because it's a fad right now in society, for sure. Some people get it because they're weak and they need something to encourage them. Some people get it as a form of devotion or ascesis. Some people get it because they don't know why, but they feel drawn to it. Or maybe they're a little bit of all of it. It's a kind of tangibility or manifesting of their belief. It becomes something more than just head knowledge. It becomes something that's a part of who you are, literally,
I'm not sure why I decided to get tattoos. I wanted this one. I didn't even know what this one meant, but when I started checking out icons and stuff, I saw this one, and just first seeing it, there was something about it that just kind of like wowed me.
The elephant in the room is, Orthodoxy is the most traditional form of Christianity. and tattooing and Orthodoxy seem to be almost antithetical to each other. But I would say they're not, and I think, if I could speak with all due respect, there's a lot of people who really don't understand tattooing, and they just make a blanket statement or judgment. But the reality of it is well, the facts is that the phenomena of tattooing is a long-standing tradition that is way deeper than the superficial phenomena or fad that's happening now. In the larger context of what we'd say Christianity, people point to Leviticus 19, the Levitical commandment to not make markings in the body in remembrance of the dead. You got to really break that down a little bit, and you have to understand contextually. Why was the prohibition against markings put into place? And was that prohibition specifically tattooing? Another thing to look at is, the history of tattooing. In Orthodoxy, we have an understanding of tradition, and tradition being very important. Within that, there has been cultural expressions of tattooing that have, for the most part, been negative, and that's been reinforced. And so when you put those two things together, it's obviously like tattoos are bad, and the Bible says they're bad. The problem with that is, though, is so much of the conflict and the issue is really not so much a theological one, but it's more of a cultural one that gets masked and robed in theological controversy. I think the big issue really becomes what is the heart of the matter, and that goes both ways. In respects of the icon and someone getting an icon on them, I would say very simply, which one is being defiled? Is the icon being defiled, or is the icon being defiled?
My grandfather, when he was buried, a very pious Roman Catholic priest, giving his eulogy, said, "Seek truth." And seek truth, just bam, it hit everything that was strong. So I got seek truth for my body. My motivation was to go, hey, don't forget this. This is important.
Generally speaking, people who get tattooed, they're getting tattooed for some sort of serious reason. I won't say extreme. Something compels somebody that's pretty serious to inflict a certain measure of pain on themselves and wear something forever. And I think people who get tattooed, they want something deeper out of life, and they see that life is messed up, but deep down inside they know that it can be beautiful, and that it should be beautiful, and that it should have purpose and meaning. Instead of it just being something that you do, meaning getting tattooed, I try to offer them something even more. If you really start breaking down what these two things are, meaning tattooing and orthodoxy, you'll start finding more and more false dichotomies. And then when you start removing those false dichotomies, you're kind of brought back to this simplicity. And that simplicity is simply persons trying to live life and understand life. I understand why people get tattooed more now, being Orthodox, I think, than I did before.
From an aesthetic purpose, does that beautify my body? No. But do I think it's beautiful? Absolutely.